Welcome to Joy of Business with host Simone Milasas, a dynamic business leader with a difference. Simone has founded and operated many businesses from a young age and has always done business differently. Today, Simone is the worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness and travels the world presenting Joy of Business programs using access tools and empowering people to know that they can create business in a different way and make money doing it. Simone Milasas, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hi everybody, this is Simone Milasas. Welcome to OMTimes Joy of Business. So this morning, or this afternoon if you're in New York, I'm in Australia at the moment, Peregian Beach, so it's 7 a.m. I'm talking to Justine McKell. So Justine McKell is a PR agent and she's fiercely passionate advocate for health, wellness and conscious living. With a background in radio and television, Justine has an extensive understanding of the demands and the needs of media. She's the master of storytelling and creating waves across TV, radio and print. Her early years spent on the other side of the fence are evident daily in her successes and the visibility she creates for clients. So someone who can only be described as a dynamo, Justine is well respected by those who know her. She's never satisfied with average, which I can vouch for that. Justine's focus and dedication to facilitate positive change is an inspiration to many and is a driving force behind McKell Media. So welcome, Justine, to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Simone. And can I just say, this is an absolute honor because your tools that you use in Joy of Business and what you teach has just been absolutely instrumental to the growth of my business. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Maybe we'll give some of those hints and tools away during the show.
Right.
So I've worked with Justine now for quite a few years. It feels like forever, you know, when you have that sort of relationship. And It's like Justine's the PR agent for Access Consciousness and she does stuff for Joy of Business as well. And, you know, I love that line in your bio of you're never satisfied with average, because you're not. And it's like that's one of the things that I want to talk about today as well, because it's like you never, ever take no for an answer. It's like you remind me of Richard Branson. It's like, you know, I hear in his books that when he, you know, someone says no to him and he's like, he keeps going, well, I'll ask again, I'll ask again, I'll ask again. Or how do I ask this time? What could I say different, sort of thing. And it's like, you're the same. And it's like, you're amazing. And you never seem to get, upset or fatigued or anything like that when you do get a no. Now, you also do PR globally. You're based in Australia, but you don't just do PR in Australia. You definitely have expanded your, you know, zone of the business. And it's like, so tell me a little bit more about that and what sort of is the driving force behind Justine McKell and McKell Media and how you do PR with a difference.
I guess just back on the first point of that tenacity, recently I pitched a story to one of the morning TV shows here in Australia, and I got a flat out no from the main person that I contact. And I was like, this is just not, I can't have this. I need to get my client on TV. So I went to the back doors and I actually went to another producer and he was like, oh, great. Like, yeah, this is actually quite interesting. Then he didn't get back to me for 2 days. And then again, I was like, oh, just gently following up on this. And I'd try and make a joke with him that I wasn't stalking him, but really I was. And I actually got the client onto TV. So that's what I mean. Like, you can't accept no for an answer. And if someone says no, just find another way in somewhere. And I think that's, that's definitely a big skill for anyone that's wanting to do PR, because like the journalists and the reporters are getting so many emails per day, especially in America, probably up to 1,000 is what one journalist actually told me. So it's like, how do you make yours stand out? How do you make your email stand out? Like, what's your point of difference? And I think it's just, you have to keep going and going, because I mean, these days our inboxes are just flooded with emails. And I think another journalist I spoke to last night from Sky Business News, and I was like, I'm so sorry to email you again. She goes, no, please just call me, because I can't get round to everything in my inbox. So,
you know, that's funny, because I feel the same way. I mean, I get, you know, anywhere from like, I don't know, 400 to 600 emails a day. And I actually prefer it when someone sends me another one and says, you know, hey, just a reminder about this, because I'm like, oh, okay. Because maybe I'm at home working, but other times I've been away at a seminar or something, or someone Skypes me or texts me. I like reminders. So I wonder if people think that they don't like reminders, whereas you should be reminding people in this digital age that we get, inundated with emails, as you say. And, Justine, I always think too, what if something's going on for the person that you've approached, and it's like anything could have happened. It's like they could have broken up with their relationship last night and they're like angry at the world and they're just like, no, I'm not having anything. And it's like, but so many people take it personally rather than, what are some tools that you can look at it to just keep moving forward? Because it is like a no, 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 no industry. And it's like,
yeah, I love the tool of access consciousness. Like, what if, the willingness to have people say no to you was a big relief for me. And I was like, oh, I wonder how many no's I can get today, and just actually have fun and play with that and not take it personally, because you get these grumpy old school journalists as well that are on deadline, that have more and more stories to produce. And even another guy I was chatting to last night, he said, look, yeah, I'm definitely interested in your client. However, I've just been handed another assignment, so I can't do it right now, but I promise I'll get back to you next week. And that good old fashioned actually picking up the phone and saying, look, I'll only take 30 seconds of your time. But people do like to, it's not always about emails.
Well, I remember talking to an editor of a magazine years and years ago, and he said, look, and he was a huge magazine in Australia, and he said, at deadline, before we go to print, quite often we're looking for something to fill a page because there's been something that has, gone wrong, a mishap. And he said, if you have like anywhere from a 600, 800 article, page article with a photo attached, and you keep sending it to magazines, like without, I'm not saying this is the way it's going to happen, but it's like, he said, I keep things like that on file. He said, so when we're at that deadline, you've got a couple of hours to go and you can't get anyone to fill that page. You grab one of those articles, especially if they've got everything in it. It's like, it's already edited. It's the right amount of words. It's got photos attached. It's like, it makes it easy for them rather than, you have to pay for a lot of the editorials, but it's like, what if there are ways like that? And then people remember you. It's like, oh, Simone Milasas Joy Business trying to get free advertising. No, just kidding.
They do offer discounts at that deadline time as well. So that is a good way. If you are going to consider advertising, maybe you'll get a half price rate. And I think exactly what you said about making it easy. I found in my experience now, even with TV producers, you pretty much have to write the script for them and give them the story. They just need that ease, and making sure if you are approaching the media, you've got all your imagery ready to go, either a high-res image of your book, that it's in the right megabytes, it's not too big to block their inbox. You've got maybe a fact sheet that's got all the details about your book and your bio, and just making it as easy as possible.
So what else would you send? Like maybe a list of questions that they could ask you?
Yeah, I definitely think so. A suggested list of talking topics would help if they were doing a radio interview. Another person I just worked with recently, they're growing quite rapidly. So, and some of the key messaging wasn't actually delivered right in the media and made them sound probably a little bit, not like a scam, but it just didn't work with their values and what the business was trying to achieve. So what I'm doing now is just writing like a fact sheet, a really easy to read fact sheet that's got the key messaging, the website link to their business, and their Twitter handle and Facebook and everything. So I think, again, just making it easy with the relevant information that you'd like to convey in that short amount of time.
Right. Hey, let me start with another question too. It's like, what actually is PR? Can you explain that for everybody listening?
Yeah, it has so many definitions by the Public Relations Institute of Australia and the US, but basically it's about getting your message out to the world and sharing it with your public audience. And that might be in the form of the mass media like magazines and radio and TV. These days, a lot of it is the new social media, the Instagram, the Facebook, online bloggers just have so much power. Like I've seen a lot of businesses create like talent management just looking after bloggers, and they're really, really successful because, and the same with the Instagrammers, like a lot of big companies will pay for someone that's got an Instagram following of about $100,000 to feature their product. I know one magazine editor that actually paid a celebrity to take a photo of her with her new book, and apparently they sold about 10,000 copies in that week just because of the power of the celebrity and how many followers she had on Instagram as well.
Wow.
So I think it's just getting your message out to the mainstream is the easy way, not the woo or the terminology.
You know, it's funny when you say that. I've got a friend of mine, Darren O'Lean. He's actually based in California, and he just wrote a book, basically on superfoods and, you know, healthy living, etc. And I happen to know that he works out with a bunch of guys, and one of them is Hugh Jackman, the Australian actor. But I noticed on the Facebook the other day that he's got a photo of him and Hugh holding the book up, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, I imagine how many people have now gone to Amazon and bought his book because he's there with his mate Hugh, like working out, and Hugh's got the book and has pretty much endorsed it in a way. So it's like, how good is sort of endorsement? How does that work? And do you think it actually does work?
Yeah, I would say most certainly, especially with the celebrity. The power of celebrities is just huge. Like, if I know people that might design jewelry or a handbag, I mean, their aim is to send it to high-profile celebrities like the Kim Kardashians, or if it's like a yoga pants, to send to one of the, you know, well-known yogi profiles or yoga teachers, just because they've got huge followings on Instagram. And then the designer of the jewelry range or the handbag person, that will just sell out absolutely overnight. Or if you can get someone snapped with that handbag and Who magazine takes it and it features on the in the gossip pages, again, it will sell out overnight because everyone just looks up to the celebrities for some reason. And the other thing is, if you are writing a book, if you can try and get a quote perhaps from someone quite influential. There was a magazine editor here in Australia that her book just got put out, and she had Richard Branson do a short testimonial on the front, and that went on the front cover. And how many people are now going to read that because of that testimonial on the front? It's
Totally.
just that power. Like, if it's endorsed, if you can get it endorsed, and look, you can pay to get things endorsed as well. A lot of high-profile people will ask for money.
Cool. Well, look, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, I want to ask you some questions about how you actually got started too, Justine.
Awesome. Thank you.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, my name is Monica and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Joy of Business with Simone Milasas, your host, and I have the lovely Justine McKell here with me. So thank you for joining me again. So one of the things I wanted to ask you was, how did you get started in the PR business, Justine?
It's really interesting. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but basically all I wanted to do when I was growing up was be in the media and be a news reader. And I'd go for a lot of auditions and just it never ended up happening. I ended up in radio and was a producer for, was a radio host for many years, working on networks like Nova in Australia. I hosted a night show with a guy called Jabba, counting down the hottest hits at night, or talking about what was Rihanna's latest tattoo that she was wearing. And anyway, my career came to a crashing halt. The producer I was working with, who I knew clearly wanted my job, actually succeeded, and I got fired off my radio show. So I was devastated. I moved back to Sydney, moved in with my parents, and wasn't sure what I was going to do. I just looked online and was trying to find jobs that were still in the media. I got a few part-time roles on radio on the weekend, just being the back announcer for songs and doing some part-time casual shifts. And I saw a job that had come up for the Today Show. So that's one of the number one breakfast shows on television here in Australia. And I applied for it and I got it. And I was a segment producer. So my job was every morning and every afternoon we had a meeting with the chief of staff to discuss what was in the news of the day. And then he would assign us stories. So, okay, great, it's a story, it's Valentine's Day. I want you to go find the best florist in Sydney, make sure that they're great talent, that they can come on the show, that they can present, they can string some sentences together. And then I'd write the script for the hosts and produce probably about 3 of these segments a day. And after a while, it was long hours. I'd work really inconsistent hours, and I kind of got a little bit sick of it, and I was looking for what else. And I ended up getting a job on a radio station producing their content, and I interviewed a lady there that was a relationship expert, and we chatted and we got really friendly and caught up for coffee, and I just said to her, look, I just don't know what I want to do with my life. Like, I don't know where it's heading, what career I want to take. Like, I feel like radio's all finished and I just want more than back announcing songs and talking about Rihanna's latest tattoo. So
because she has a lot of tattoos, it might be something you're updating a lot.
Exactly. Or, what did we talk about? I think Mariah Carey and her list of demands on tour, like pink toilet paper and things like that. So not really changing the world kind of stuff. And I knew that there was something else out there for me.
I didn't know there was pink toilet paper, Justine, so you just taught me something new.
There you go, the writer demands of celebrities. There's some interesting things on that. And so Trudy ran a high-end dating agency, and she said, look, I actually think you'd be great at PR. And I was like, oh, what's that? I haven't really ever, heard of that before. And she said, well, why don't you just, come and give it a go? I think that you'd, be quite successful. So I worked 2 days a week from her office, and she was like, well, just get me in the media in any way possible. And I think having that background from working on the Today Show, I knew that they were actually short of a relationship expert. They had someone young at the time and they weren't very happy with her. So I pitched her into the Today Show and she became their regular expert. And I was like, this is actually quite easy. And then I found out where she lived. I contacted their local paper and I did a story on the matchmaker, and she made the front cover. Then I contacted one of the best business magazines, The Deal, in the Australian, that's a very corporate market, which is what she wanted to appeal to, because she was a high-end dater and people pay her $1,000 a month to match them with another person that don't have time to date. And I got her a 1-page feature in that as well. So I was like, oh, there's something to this. And it built and it built and it built. And then I was just looking again what else was possible. And I was contacted actually by a psychic that had just won a TV show on Channel 7 called The One, and she just finished, and she got my number off someone and said, look, I'd love you to try, do my PR. And I was like, oh, really? And she said, how much do you charge per month? And I was like, I was at the time, and I was like, oh, this much? And she was like, okay, great. I'm firing the person who I've got now, and you're going to be doing it. Like, you're going to be big. And I was like, oh, okay. So my first real client saw dead people, and that wasn't to the media. And it's funny, like, since then I became quite well known in the more spiritual community, and like, it's not the easiest to pitch to mainstream media, but I'm always up for a challenge, and I'd always find creative ways of getting in there. And Charmaine, we ended up getting on, the morning show, into Virgin Voyeur magazine, which to this day is probably one of my best works as a PR person, because it's the most read magazine on the plane. And then, I worked with her for about about a year. And I actually didn't meet her till 9 months into us working together. And then from there, it just kind of, it snowballed a little bit. I worked with some of Australia's leading artists and musicians like Christine Arnoux, some of the Australian Idol contestants. And I always had an interest in personal growth from a young age. I met a girl along the lines that had finished up, or she didn't want to work with her client anymore. She was having a baby and it was all too much. So that was Dr. Demartini, who is a human behavioural expert and does a lot of courses and seminars. And then from him, I started working with him and been working with him probably for about 5 years. And then and then I just niched myself into probably the personal growth and health and wellness and lifestyle, because it's such a big passion of mine. And I've just seen from coming to Access Consciousness classes, like how it has totally changed my way of functioning and life, and even got a man now, which even
which was one of your targets. So, yeah. So one of the things that I've noticed, Justine, is as you've been talking, and as so many of the people that I've had on my show is, which to me is the joy of business. It's like you didn't sort of sit down and go, right, this is what I'm going to create, and it's going to look like this, and it's going to be like this, and this is the amount of money I'm going to earn, and this is what's going to happen. It's like it wasn't sort of, this place of working it out. It's sort of like you followed an energy and you followed the awareness of what you'd like to create in the world. And it's like you kept, choosing based on the possibilities that showed up, which I always see that is one of the most successful ways someone actually creates their career, their job, their work. And it's like, rather than trying to work it out, which this reality sort of says, about how much you have to study or you have to be an expert. I mean, gosh, that word expert is, gets thrown around a lot. Whereas in truth, we're actually experts of everything. If you love it, and it's like, which to me is the joy of business, if you love it, you can create it. So
yeah, I didn't study PR at all. I had no idea how to start my own business. And it's funny, my mum was always like, you're going to have your own business. And I was like, no, I'm not. And so I just was trying to fight for my whole life. I don't want to have my own business. I want to be a radio show host. And then I look back on that and I just fought it for so long. But, I think even not having the qualifications makes you work even more for it. So I'd sit down with people that were in PR and grab a bit of this information, and just set it up the way that worked for me. And I mean, the PR that I do is not like any other PR agent does it. Like I get to travel with Access and go to different countries, and a lot of my business is online, and also I got to fulfill my big target, which was to work with leaders in the world that are helping to change the world. And I'd love to help spread their positive message. Not all, you watch the news a lot, it's so doom and gloom, and you walk away so depressed. Like, what if there could be more positive news? and I love it as well. Dr. Dane here, who we work with, he was on a TV show, I think it was in Vancouver, I can't remember, but we got an email afterwards saying, you know what, I actually wanted to end my life, and I walked past the TV and I sat down and I saw Dane speaking, and, I chose differently. And it's so lovely to hear just even how that helps just one person. You just never know who's watching or who's reading or, yeah.
Interesting that because we're talking about PR as well, and Dr. Dane here, and I highly recommend, he's got a book out called Being You, Changing the World. It's absolutely brilliant because you know what, it is about being you. But he does have a good story as well. Like I mean in the sense of like he's got some of the most terrific stories about when he was younger and the physical, sexual abuse and everything that was, sort of projected upon him when he was a kid. And it's like he has every excuse and justification in the world, to be like a horrible person as he grew up. And he's one of the kindest men I've ever met. And it's like, but what's interesting to me is with the PR thing, the story works as well. Like I have the story of being $187,000 in debt when I first met Gary Douglas. And it's like, I was literally $187,000 in debt. Australian dollars, so Australian dollars pretty bad at the moment, so it's a lot in US dollars. So, but then using the Access Consciousness tools, I got out of debt, and it's like I have money, but it's also a great story. So the thing that I'd love you to talk about too, and maybe we can talk about it in the next segment, is it's like looking at something like that. Like you would have, described what has happened to Dane as almost devastating, or to me as, there's a whole lot of judgments that go around creating that much debt and really not having much to show for it. And it's like, but it's like, what if you could use your life not as a judgment, and what if you could use your life as an invitation to others to actually create a difference and to create something that's, different in the world and becomes an invitation, like you said with that lady walking past, and seeing the Dane story and choosing something different.
Absolutely. And what you say, we all know something that we can share with the world. So it is a lot of the time, I pry that out of people, like, what is your story? Okay, what led you to be a life coach? Because that's the story that people want to hear. Like, how can you kind of be, in inverted commas, like an expert in that? Was it an illness that made you look into alternative healing, and now you work as that is your career? And have you got any tips to share with the world how you improved that as well?
Yeah, so, and you don't have to have a horrible story to actually be successful in what you do, but it's like, what if you could use you to your advantage? And it's like with what you are trying to get out there into the mainstream. And I know that you mentioned getting, spiritual and consciousness into the mainstream is not the easiest thing in the world. So I'd love to ask you more questions about that in the next segment as well, because it's like you do it all the time and you have this amazing ability to know what this reality requires, and even like the wording and how to, change it around. I mean, quite often you've dealt with me and I go, no, I'm using that word because I think everybody gets energy. I'm like, energetically, you have to get that, you perceive that. But it's like, I love working with you because you actually function from such a present conscious place in your business, yet you also you have the ability to know what this reality requires and what they have to hear to make it into, the mainstream, and be able to get on TV and be able to get on like major, newspapers and magazines. So we'll hear more about that from Justine McKell when we get back from McKell Media, based in Australia.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into OMTimes Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Joy of Business, and with your host Simone Milasas, and I'm joined here with Justine McKell, and we're getting down and dirty and talking about PR with a difference. So, and I've known Justine for quite a while, so I'm actually, it's great to hear her story and hear how she got started. You know, Justine, though, I do remember you told me that at one stage on a very popular radio station here in Australia, you used to be the girl, which made me laugh because I'd be driving to work. This is before I knew you, and I'd be hearing there was these promotional days, and they'd be like, you know, come down to this park and get some icy cold cans of Coke and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and that was you.
I was Rock Babe 4, and I was very proud of it. I drove a ute around Sydney with a barbecue at the back and used to pull out at parks or beaches and say, we're here at Freshwater thanks to Burger King, the home of the Whopper, the king of all burgers on the new Triple M, Sydney's best rock.
You have said that a few times. That came way too easily.
Yeah, that, and I used to do the snow reports as well. So, and then I was like, beautiful day here in the mountains, blue skies, sunshine, and hardly a breeze. So, yeah, all these different kind of careers in media that I've had, but actually they've all helped me, I think, to really hone in and do what I do now. And also, like, I'm very careful when I pitch to a producer that I give them exactly what they want. And if you are approaching the media, I think just really think of their audience and take that in mind and know what they write about, know their work, because that's a big in. Like, even compliment it, go, I saw you write about the best electronic gadget that's on the market, you know, last week. Hey, I've got a really great person that you might want to consider that's just created this device, or, you know, it's...
So you acknowledge what they're great at, and then pitch them your story. Because you actually mentioned something about a pitch before, and I know we're going to talk about like pitching to consciousness and consciousness to mainstream or spiritual to mainstream, but can you first of all talk about a pitch?
Yeah, so what I would do is gather all the information together. So I'd ask lots of questions to the client, like, what is your point of difference? What makes your product or business different from everyone else that's out there? What is your demographic that you're going for? What are the 3 messages that you'd like to convey? And can you do that, you know, in an elevator pitch, I guess, in 30 seconds? So with all the information, whether it's an event, whether it's a book, or whether it's just a topic, I'd gather all that first, and I'd put it into a press release format. Not always. Sometimes I'll just do a pitch, but a press release and a pitch are quite different. So the press release would have all the who, what, when, why at the start, like, and it's a bit of a pyramid format, and then you do put that at the top because you want to get the journalist to keep on reading and keep on reading and keep on reading. So the most important information goes at the top. And then further down, you'd add in a quote by the founder or the business owner. And then down the bottom would have, in the US, they call it a boilerplate. So a little bit about the company, what is it, and a contact information that if the journalist is interested, they can contact you on the number or the email address. And I try and put an image in there because I think that I'm a very, very visual person. And when journalists have got pitch after pitch after pitch, it's nice to break it up with an image. So that's
especially if you're working with someone who's eye candy. Like, I think Dr. Dane here, who we work with, is incredibly handsome. And I've always said to him, I mean, he's such a wonderful man, and it's like I absolutely adore him. And he's brilliant at what he does. And I'm grateful that you're eye candy as well, because it's really easy. People go, who's that? And it's like when they see the big picture of his face on the book. So it works. Yep. And it's like, use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. I think I remembered you said that, like, to him to make, you know, put the image of yourself on the cover. And
I did, yeah.
His eyes, when you look at that cover, just absolutely draw you in. You want to know, what is he thinking, or what's going on there, or what does he know that I want to know? So where was I? What was I saying?
About the pictures. So, and it's like, so let me ask you a question too, because I can see that people, like, with everything you've mentioned that needs to go on the pitch, it's like, you know, people are like, oh, it's going to take 2 or 3 pages. My point of view would be like a 1-pager. Is that correct? Or do you think you need more? Or
no, I would definitely only do a page. And, you know, you can always send more information if the journalist wants to run the story, but they really don't have time to read any more than that. And you should be able to convey your message really quickly and concisely. And then what I do with the pitch is, depending on who I'm pitching to, I would just say, look, I think this is really suitable for BRW magazine. I saw you're writing more about leadership at the moment. I've got a great story on mindful leadership and some tips that anyone can apply in their business. And I've got some examples of some CEOs that are using it right now. Would you be interested in finding out further information? Or the other thing is, would you be interested in an opinion piece? So if I find a lot of media also are wanting articles these days. So if writing is something that you enjoy doing, go for it. If it's not, hire a ghostwriter.
Well, one of the articles that you pitched for me was about the elements that you needed within a business, with like in talking about needing a connector, creator, and mover. And I think we got in like 13 or 16 different magazines or different, article places based on that.
Yeah, it was huge. It was like it just kept giving and kept giving, and it kept popping up on website. And I was like, how does it get any better than this? This is awesome. It'd go to Queensland, they get featured on this website, and then I'm like, one of the editor of an in-flight magazine was like, I'm going to use this article, and I was like, great. So sometimes you really hit the nail when you know that it's been distributed to this many outlets, and I think that was just something that can apply to everyone. It was also information that I think a lot of mainstream press hadn't heard before about 3 people that you do need in your business: the connectors, the movers, and the shakers. Yeah.
Well, I guess somewhere when people hear it, they get it. Because it's like, I mean, that's one of my things that I'm always dealing with people with their businesses is they may be incredibly creative, and it's like, they've got all of these ideas, or they create this great product, or they create a fabulous website that has these fabulous products, but then they don't have a connector. They have nobody to sell it. And so when you talk to them about it, they're like, oh, yeah, I mean, you're like a connector. That's what a PR agent is. So one of the things also I wanted to ask you about is I think people have the point of view of I have to be big, I have to have lots of money before I hire a PR agent, rather than hiring a PR agent to begin with. What's your point of view of when someone should start with a PR agent?
I definitely think that you need to be ready to go to market. So your website needs to be at a level that you're happy with it, that if a journalist went on there, they would be like, great, I can see credibility here. So I would say making sure you've got your website, your images. I had someone come to me recently that created this new vision board online for children, and I asked him some questions, and he clearly wasn't even ready. He hadn't even tested out the product to the market. And I actually took it to one of my friends at the Today Show, and she was like, that price point is way too high for our audience. It was something like $200. However, the audience really, I think probably $99 and then it would have been purchased by more people. But a lot of the audience that are watching the TV can't actually couldn't afford that. So I asked him a lot of questions and went back, and he then actually agreed that he wasn't even ready. He hadn't got case studies. No one had actually used this product. So it wasn't ready to PR. I just think being so clear, knowing your key messages, that if you have got a book, that your book is ready physically. Because a lot of times if you do go out and ask book editors if they'd be interested in featuring it, they'll ask for a copy. So I would make sure that that you've got the physical copy, whether it's a CD, whether it's a book ready to go.
Right, okay. Interesting, because it's also that place of building it up, so it's the big launch, but I guess you have to be having something else sort of happening at that time. I've got a second book coming out. I mean, it's, easy, people. It's coming out soonish. I'm still working on it. But it's basically, I'm not actually sure what it's called yet, but the whole idea is, because I was so in debt, it's coming from debt to actually having money. I've come up with a few different names, so I'm not sure what it is yet. But I can see how I could build up the energy for that for the launch date. So it's it's coming soon. And then now it's launched, and that could work, except I'm already a credible business. So is that sort of what you're talking about? It's that's the difference as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've already got one book under your belt as well. So you could almost pre-sell this book before it comes to market and create such a hype around it. But I think that you've got the foundation and the base already laid. So I think, look, it is an investment. PR. And I would just say you want to make sure that whoever you hire has got enough information for them to go to market with. So don't rush into it. And you can also do PR yourself. I know a lot of business owners that have so many different roles that they're doing. But if you know there's one publication that you really want to get in, all you do is just buy that magazine or buy that newspaper and just look at the front where they've got all the editorial contacts, and you can reach out to them yourself and just say, look, I've got a launch of my event this Wednesday or next Wednesday, give them a bit more notice than that. Would you be interested in coming along? Or, hey, I've discovered this new healing technique that I've been having some great results with my clients. Would you like to come and try it out? And if you like it, write a review. If you don't, nothing lost.
Right.
So, sorry.
What I was going to ask, what about pitching spiritual world consciousness into mainstream? Like, I know that there was an article in the Huffington Post recently that that you sent us, and it was pretty much all about consciousness.
Yeah, I think on the Huffington Post, I think it was the GPS section for the soul. So they have a certain section that are open to consciousness and mindfulness. So I think it's just really targeting. If it is quite a conscious piece, then I would target conscious media. In Australia, we don't have a lot of it. However, there are some magazines and some journalists that are open to it. So I think it's just building those contacts and those relationships. In the US, the platform is a lot bigger, especially like OMTimes. They're open to articles on self-improvement, and the demographic is a lot of female business owners as well that want to live better, think better, like manage their stress, manage their business. I think, knowing who you're pitching to is quite important. If it is a more mainstream, I'd dissect the message a little bit and put it in words that they can hear. So what can this producer hear right now? For example, Dane, and we've just got him onto a Vancouver breakfast show. We made it quite general about happiness and 5 tips you can apply in your life right now to find happiness, and also tying it into International Happiness Day. So that's another thing that I do look for. I look at the calendar and I think, okay, what's coming up? Valentine's Day, World Happiness Day,
Love.
International Women's Day is coming up on the 8th of March. So you know that a media has to really reflect this content around there, and that's a great time. If your business is about love or anything like that, then it's perfect. Or even 50 Shades of Grey is coming out. So
it is out. I saw it at the cinemas the other day. All right. Thanks, Justine. We'll be coming back soon.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
The Laying On of Hands Healing Radio Show is about treating the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. Join me, Charles Smith, as I share life-balancing measures such as nutrition and spiritual practices to help you take charge of your own health and wellness every Thursday at 7 p.m. on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Hi, welcome back, everybody. You're on Joy of Business with your host, Simone Milasas, and I'm joined with Justine McKell, and we're talking about PR with a difference. So, Justine, this is our last segment. I've thoroughly enjoyed being here with you. So lastly here, what I wanted to ask you about is, what are some of the ways businesses can get PR? Like, what top tips do you have? You always talk about giving top tips.
I know. Put on the spot. Look, I think there's a number of ways. One, what we talked about before was looking at the calendar and looking at national days that are coming up that you can piggyback off. Mother's Day, Christmas, tax time, budgeting will be talked about around then. So I would go through the calendar and make up a list of what's coming up. You know, holidays, we talk a lot about stress, being around family, how to pack your kids into a car and have an efficient holiday. I think one magazine wrote about that in a travel magazine. I'd also say current topic. So jump online and look at the news sites. For example, in Australia, we have news.com.au. That's just a really good, easy one to go on and see what's trending and what's being talked about. So is it the budget, or is it the Australian dollar dropping?
Or the US dollar rising up so much. It's amazing how good the US dollar is going at the moment, which is making all the other currencies across the world just look pitiful.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, then I think it becomes a little bit harder for Australians to travel overseas because it's more expensive. So media then tend to write stories about where you can travel in Australia. I've seen that happen a few years ago. And also spring, they always are going to be talking about how to get your body back in shape, or coming into winter, how to beat the winter flus. So it's a good time. I was chatting with someone the other day to launch a vitamin C range, because you know that the magazines will be reflecting this. I think another thing is, if you do have a product, you could look at ways like, could your product be featured on a popular TV show? So I know someone that's had their pram featured on Home and Away. So they called the arts department, the prop department, and they said, look, if you have any scenes that might require this, I'd love to, donate this. And that got on the show. Or around Mother's Day and Father's Day and Valentine's Day, a lot of the TV shows feature gift guides, and they range in scale with prices, or, what's the best Father's Day gift. So if you think that your product that you've developed might fit into that, like board shorts, or Mother's Day might be jewelry or something like that, contact the producers of the shows. A big thing
are
is,
they always looking for things as well?
Yeah.
Because I think I think people have this point of view that they become annoying. Like sales is not. I mean, so many people sort of go, oh, I'm in sales and marketing rather than sales. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you're in business, you're in sales. But it's like people get this paranoia about like that they're becoming annoying, rather than actually, pitching something that people are grateful for. They're like, oh, perfect, exactly what I'm looking for. You make somebody else's job easier is what I see.
Absolutely. And also, and making it as different as possible. If you've got a new product you're taking to market and it's different, they love stuff like that. Someone came to me the other day with like a wetsuit that was sun protective, and it was in a different fabric. And she'd already got some placements about it just because it was different. It was very topical as well. So yeah, go for it. Just don't give up. And most certainly they'll tell you if they've had enough. They'll say no thanks, and then you go, okay, maybe I've stalked them way too much now. And
when they've got a court order against you or something, it's like maybe you've gone too far.
Okay, you've been barred from the show now. No, that's not good. Then the other thing we talked about before was celebrity endorsement. So a lot of celebrities have paid big dollars to endorse a product or take a photo of them eating the latest acai bowl or something in the street. So celebrity endorsement, If there is a celebrity that you know that's really aligned to your product, maybe they're into health, maybe they're into I don't know, fitness or something like that, then make a list of ones that you may like to approach. The power of localizing something as well, because all your local newspapers most often are free, delivered to your door, and these are read by a lot of people in the community. So if you're helping solve maybe a local issue, or if you are a toy store, one angle could be that you might donate toys to the local hospital. Media would like to find out about that. So just look at the front section, look at the editor, and contact them and just say local story in the subject. It might also be that you're a business that's sold 1 million hair elastics, so you're celebrating your 10th year or something like that. That is all considered angles, and media like to feature angles and local stories as well.
I noticed that up actually in the Sunshine Coast where I live. It's like quite often, it's like even if something's, fantastic, they prefer it if you live locally, because it's like that, supporting the local businesses, supporting your local community. So it's like, I get that. It's like, it's a great way to use where you live, like geographically, to your advantage.
Yeah, even one paper here, it's called the Wentworth Career. We're helping with an event called Women on Top. It's all about women in business. It's happening at the Paddington Town Hall, which is the local area of the Wentworth Career. But they're like, look, we'll mention it. But I was like, what about a front cover page? Can we get all the girls that are speaking there, lining them up? They're like, well, they really have to be from the area to get it to that level. So I'm like, okay, you, this speaker, Lisa, you live in this area just for now, okay? So I'm just doing whatever it takes to try and get
So what do you call that? Manipulating?
Gently manipulating, bending the truth. So, but one of them actually happens to live in the area, which is great. So another thing is also looking at networking events. There's a lot of business magazines for women as well that do hold a lot of business networking events. That could be another way to get your business out there. And the online marketing, like blogs and social networks. If you could piggyback off someone else's website that might have, a database of 60,000 people, how could you write an article for them about a certain topic or tips that would help their community as well? So I think it's piggybacking off different networks, joint ventures, local papers, any events that you can hold. If you're launching a new product, that's always a good one to create a bit of buzz, put on some champagne. Media love free things, and invite a few of the local journalists along to it as well.
So, Justine, I mean, you're McKellMedia.com. Is it AU as well, or just .com?
Just .com.
So McKellMedia.com, and it's like, do you do consults?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of them, but it's definitely, I know that you would say the business coach to start doing this. So I should look into this, yeah.
Well, at one stage I was working with Justine. I mean, she was doing PR for me, and she said something about the size of her company, and I was like, what do you mean? It's like, you could grow like 5-10 times in size. It's like, you just got to hire more staff, and it's like, have this, and she's like, oh yeah. So it's like, you do, and it's like, this is one thing I see. People have this limitation of where their business can go. It's sort of like, what's your target? And you've reached that, and then it's like, what if you could go beyond that? What if a PR agent actually took you beyond that, took you beyond what you've decided your business could be? Because it's like, you know what, there's so much more that's possible. And it's like, what if it was easy? It's just like, you have to get over being a control freak of magnitude. Like, I am a control freak, I get it. And it's like, so, and most people are who own a business. And what if you could let go and just let it loose? And I get that that's what a PR agent with a difference can add to you as well. So Justine's available for consults. But my other question too is, how do you find a good PR agent? Like, what are, say, 3 questions that you would recommend? Because, I mean, you're basically interviewing them too. It's like, are they going to work for your business?
Totally. Absolutely. Like I would want to make sure I can get results for someone, and I really would have to believe and understand the brand. And I think the questions that I would ask is, what are your past clients? What are some of the results that you've gotten, and look at the areas of their past clients. Like I love personal growth. I've just seen the big changes, like even in my business from working with the Joy of Business and with your book and your tips. So it's something that it's not work for me. I would look at someone that's going to go beyond like working on the hourly rate. And I don't count that. That's not even, I love this. I love what I do. So I would look for someone that's really passionate and in your business and that wants to, get behind it and promote it to the world.
So if you also hire a PR agent, I know most people think, okay, I've hired one, why isn't something done? And it's like, how many months or what sort of the leeway time you would say generally would create a tangible, result for businesses?
I would definitely say invest in someone for at least 6 months. Like it does take a little while to get it rolling. And I think there's so much work. People don't really understand the amount of work that goes behind the scenes to secure even just one piece. So, sometimes we're sending out at least 300 press releases and we're sending it out about 8 times to really knock on the doors. That's in the US. Australia's a little bit different. Sorry, I totally blanked out what your question was that I was meant to answer.
That's okay. It's like how long the leeway sort of thing before you can actually see results. And you were saying give the PR agent at least 6 months before you start hassling them. That's my version of what you said.
Yeah, I would say that. And also just know that magazines work about 3 to 4 months lead time. So you might do an interview, and Dane's done an interview about probably nearly this time last year with one huge magazine, and I've been contacting them going, when's it going to run? When's it going to run? When's it going to run? And just they're like, oh, we're just saving it. And I was like, he's here in May, please run the story. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll run it in April, and which is, gosh, perfect timing because he's here for the May class. So it's being patient. Also, it's timing with the media. You don't know what they're talking about. So be patient. I can hear the music coming.
Be patient. Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Justine, for joining us here on Joy of Business with Simone Milasas. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.